at almost £900,000. Well, joining us now from our central London studio to talk about this is Sisters Appeal, certainly, is Matthew Elliott from the Taxpayers Alliance. Mr. Elliott, thank you for joining us on Lunchtime Live this afternoon. Talk us through what the situation is legally at the moment.
The situation at the moment is basically that if you're a married couple, you can of course leave your estate to your husband or wife. Similarly, if you're in a civil partnership, you can also leave your estate to your civil partner without incurring inheritance tax. But the case is that for everybody else, including the two Burton sisters, you can't leave an estate to another person without incurring the 40% inheritance tax.
Are there any exceptions?
There aren't any exceptions, no. So even in this situation where the two sisters have lived together throughout their lives, they've had no husbands or wives, they live together all the time, they won't be able to pass on the estate without incurring inheritance tax.
The government is, certainly the British government, is not likely to change that rule if it's left to them anytime soon, is it? They'd lose a fortune.
I disagree, actually. I mean, inheritance tax raises at the moment £4 billion out of government spending of £550 billion. And what we've seen is actually a movement across the country of more and more people wanting to see it either greatly reduced or abolished. Gordon Brown, to his credit, has actually given some way on this in terms of increasing the threshold at which inheritance tax is incurred. And I think that because inheritance tax is now the second most hated tax in the UK, and poll after poll shows this, Gordon Brown may actually reflect this in a future budget.
I thought inheritance tax was always supposed to be a tax on the rich.
I do think that's the case now. I mean, if you're a richer person, you can afford to employ an expensive accountant or a rich lawyer to actually help you escape inheritance tax, and that's what often happens. The problem now is that many houses have just slipped into the barrier under which, the threshold under which inheritance tax is incurred. And lots of people, ordinary people across the country, are now having to pay it. So now it's an issue that affects the middle classes, not just the rich.
But would you be content, or do you think people would be content with the threshold rising?
I think people want to see complete abolition. I mean, as I say, the tax only raises a little bit of money. Why not abolish it to create a more simple tax system that would help everybody out?
Presumably, even if the ladies are successful, there will be an appeal by the government?
I think there will be an appeal by the government, but I urge the sisters to keep on with their fight. I mean, finally, somebody's had the guts to actually take on the government on this and take it to the very top of the courts in the land.
Matthew Elliott, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Prince Charles has opened the gates of his Gloucestershire farm in an attempt to help children learn more about food.